Welcome to Jelly Trumpet!
Welcome to Jelly Trumpet, making you more creative. Tips, tricks and ideas for expanding your imagination.
Didn't you just say that?
No?
I could have sworn I'd heard it before.
Well, Mr. B, that's because this is episode 6. Welcome to Jelly Trumpet. It is.
No, it's not, because this is episode 6. You said it twice.
Didn't.
Did.
Didn't.
Did.
Didn't. Welcome to... Now what?
Listen to the tape. See? Mind you, it is in reverse.
Have you been recording my brain again?
Yes.
Moving on. Welcome to Jelly Trumpet, making you more creative. Tips, tricks and ideas for expanding your imagination. Today we're going to be talking about... What's that?
It's a flashback, Jim.
Flashbacks are all very well, Mr. B, as long as they don't bring back 8-track jazz.
Perish the thought, Jim. No, this is alluding to our time doing technical support for Apple Computer.
Oh, those were the days. No, they weren't. I got an ulcer. Anyway, today we are talking about reboots, reincorporation and anticipation. Mr. B, we're getting laser missiles from the previous episode. Mr. B, why are we getting laser missiles from our last episode effort?
Because a good gamer, very much like me, never sleeps. Oh, and Elite Dangerous is always live.
I see. Well, let's get on with the show. Today we are bringing you Jelly Trumpet live from sunny Berkhamsted.
Overlooking the missile silo on Castle Street.
Yes. Who'd have thought Berkhamsted would have their own nuclear deterrent?
I believe it's to keep people from Hemel Hempstead out of Waitrose.
And of course, satisfy the local council tax obligation.
What's that?
To make sure no one without a 4x4 can enter the town.
Gotta love them. Or not.
Coming up on Jelly Trumpet! You are your own medicine. An exercise to try at home. Challenge Jim. Silly, silly, silly things. And our guest spot featuring Claire Millens. Sponsored by Conversion Detectives, the really creative digital marketing agency. Search Conversion Detectives. You are your own medicine.
Being your own medicine is currently a regular slot on Jelly Trumpet because it's so vital to refining your creative world. Your own medicine is writing in a journal all about your creative sessions. It's feedback for yourself, self-coaching. Write in it after every session. The journal then builds into a creative library. The reason is that you, and only you, can make yourself as creative and as imaginative as you desire. Courses, books, videos are great for harvesting tools, but creativity and the usage of it, whether your work, your business or just your pleasure, is solely down to you. So the answer is to keep a journal of what works for you, a paper one or a notes app. Now apps and documents on your computer are going to work better because you can search them. Now, reincorporation. This works well. What it means is to make something a part of something else once more. Why? Because of familiarity, and one aspect in creative writing is that familiarity. It leads to anticipation. What makes a character funny? Well, lots of things. It can be what they say, they're spouting funny lines, they could be clumsy and then you have slapstick humour, they can think very differently and you are surprised by their solutions to everyday problems. But in the main, you want to get to the point where an audience starts to laugh before the character responds. They are anticipating the character's reaction. Watch your favourite sitcom or film, find the part you found yourself laughing and ask yourself, is it because you knew how they were going to react? The character is made. The character will react, reincorporate what you know about them. When I write, I often look to plant something early on. Well, that's a lie. What usually happens is I come up with a funny idea much later in the process and have to work backwards. So I'll look to add a plant, a sign that an audience can look back to, not necessarily consciously, that has set the laugh up. That happens in a long time in the future. Reincorporation is a story device. We want the familiar, we want to have references to where we are now, and we love to make a connection. It makes us, as an audience, feel good, comfortable, satisfied. Sometimes in creative pieces, the setup or plant is just too overt. So think a 1970s US cop series, camera pans to a discarded glove. Plant should be subtle, and more than that, it should be disguised or used differently from the expectation. When you do that, you have surprises and audience satisfaction. Now that expression, leading someone up the garden path, which actually refers to some adult imagery, is one way of looking and creating that anticipation. Up the garden path is a pattern, isn't it? I am taking you up the garden path to this place, and along the way, everything that adds to that picture happens to you. And you will expect this result. Now you've noticed that pattern, you can break it. And so much TV now, Netflix, Amazon Prime, they're just brilliant. Takeaway. Think of the expectation of your piece, theatre, prose, marketing campaign, whatever. What is the expectation? How can you break that expectation for a satisfying emotion for your audience? What is your audience going to anticipate? What do you have to plant earlier to make this satisfying result? Oh, and don't make it bleeding obvious. Now don't forget to record all this in your medicine journal. Now, a quick word about reboots. What's your favourite reboot, Mr. B?
Well, I think that would be the Bible 2.0 Redux edition with a director's commentary from Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Oh, the one where all the characters are really positive and say not to worry.
That's the one. No need for guilt. Love your neighbour's ox or coveting their knives. I like the bit that says, don't worry, be happy.
We know a song about that.
We do. Oh, and the 10 suggestions, that's a great piece.
Oh, yes, where you can take a suggestion or not.
I like that.
Bit like a menu.
Where you choose your favourite dishes, or...
Not.
I hope it catches on.
Me too, Mr. B. Things are never written in stone, are they?
Jim, have another coffee, mate, and cut down on the thinking.
Thank you, Mr. B.
And now, challenge at home.
This episode, Mr. David Mamet, one of the great playwrights and screenwriters. David Mamet's 3 magic questions. I am and always will be a lover of the creative. I'm happy to improve very slightly every day, and I admire anyone that manages to make me think. So David Mamet is part hero and part virtual mentor, although he doesn't know that. If you ever want to see a real play on film and understand people, then check out Glengarry Glen Ross. Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alan Arkin, and for a brief scene, Alec Baldwin. Oh, and you can also check out a movie called The Edge with Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin. So why am I going on about him? Well, in one of his books he sets out 3 magic questions. Question 1, who wants what from whom? Question 2, what happens if they don't get it? Question 3, why now? And this is why I love David Mamet. Man with the brain the size of a planet can produce wonderfully, seemingly simple films, each containing a universe. So this is in my medicine, my journal of creativity. I use the questions as a proof of story ideas. You don't like these 3? Then find questions that make you think. Can you use these 3 questions outside writing stories? Of course you can. If you're a songwriter, there's stories in song. If you're an artist, a painter, does your picture answer these questions? A performer, well, how does your character answer these questions? If you're in business, you can ask this of your buying persona, avatars, or your audience, which is a great starting point for creating conversion-type copy. Takeaway. You are thinking as your audience, not yourself when you ask these questions. If you have a prose work or script, you can ask it of all your characters, not just the main protagonists, but the minor ones too. Mr. B, what am I thinking now?
More coffee?
Nope.
Sausage roll?
Well, yes, but something else too.
Could it be ridding the world of evil?
Spot on, Mr. B.
And how, pray tell, will you achieve that?
All I need, Mr. B, is a tube of superglue. I will superglue all Instagram influencers to their own mirror, well, some to their iPhones. I will also superglue an American president to his own hair, all people wearing sunglasses indoors to 2 pint pots of cheap cider, 1 for each hand, all Premiership footballers to a Honda e-card, and the majority of MPs to a council house in Wigan. Brothers and sisters, amen.
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 Creative heroes.
My creative hero in this episode is a little-known name, Russell Lewis. Now, Russell is a former child actor. He was in Young Winston, amongst other 70s movies. And he took to writing and is the main writer and also the developer behind the TV series Endeavour. If you don't know the series, do check it out. Russell was also a writer on Inspector Morse, which the series is based on, the grumpy, highly educated Oxford policeman. Endeavour is the first name of Inspector Morse, and Endeavour takes us back to the early days of his life in Oxford during the 60s and 70s. So why is Russell my hero? Layers. Layer upon layer of creativity. And it's not all down to him, of course. The technical aspects of the show are all detailed. The props, the locations, the costumes, the lighting, everything real creatives need. And that is other people being their best, not to mention the actors who are all superb. What I thrill at is taking a known character and fleshing him out, using the period things like council bribery scandals, children home scandals, the dynamics between the status of the characters along with making them real. The depth is in the main character. You never really know the why or how he is like the way he is. Reincorporation is here, but it's backwards. So they take the character's verbal tics like Jim Strange's matey and reuse it again and again. So you get this forward rush of what he is like in Inspector Morse, only he's more so as you follow him and the crew in the past. Status is something that we go on about in theatre, especially. And we also want to capture what the best and worst of something is, whether it is the person or the society. When you combine that with a great actor, and I mean a world-class one, like Anton Lesser, you get Chief Superintendent Bright, an ex-colonial policeman, a stickler, the boss, seemingly old Britannia. Yet he moves with the times. He rides the flow of politics and he achieves two things. He will always do the right thing and he will never let his people down. Then you add a terminally ill wife and they both adore each other, a love match. Great work comes with detail, with the support of others and an awareness of what life is like in a dramatic TV sort of way. Anyway, check it out and find out more about reincorporation, or let us know your favourite usage of reincorporation on TV, film or even music. Thank you. Mr. B, it's impression time. Mr. B, the screens.
There you go.
Ta-da!
Who's that supposed to be?
The Emperor Haile Selassie.
What is going on inside your head?
Well, at the moment, a desperate need for acceptance.
Try another one.
Could I have a drum roll?
Certainly.
This is...
Don't tell me it's William Wallace.
Well, how did you know that?
The massive sword you're cradling along with the crushed blueberries running down your cheek.
I see. Was that the squirrel doing the drum?
I told you before, his name is Nigel.
He's very good.
He is. His heroes are Buddy Rich and John Bonham.
And how do you explain Nigel's braided hair?
He's a fan of Taylor Swift.
Guest spot.
So on this edition of Jelly Trumpet, we have the lovely Claire Millins from Kook Content. Claire is a blurbologist and a trained actor and has a degree in maths and is possibly, quite weird. But we like that anyway, don't we? So let's kick off, dear Claire, with what are you currently doing? What's your current project?
Well, I've got several on the go. So I have lots of different clients, but I'm mainly working, my biggest client at the moment, I'm working with a mental health tech startup that's based out in the States. So I'm doing blog posts, email copy, web copy, landing pages, proofreading, psychology documents, creating case studies and white papers. So it's very interesting and a lot of fun.
Is it an online service or is it an app?
It's an online app. So what they have, they've got, I think they're the only company that do it. They have a wearable piece of technology that measures your emotions.
Oh.
And then from that, they use the data from your emotions to tailor make your sessions with a licensed therapist and a coach. So
wow, that's fantastic.
It's amazing.
That's very interesting when it comes to creativity and creative people who are a moody bunch. Well, they can be, can't they?
They can.
I'm okay, and you're okay, so that's other people's problem. So how did you come about to become a blurbologist?
A blurbologist. Well, it all came about when I went on maternity leave 13 years ago. I worked as an IT consultant, like many of us.
Yes, like many of us have done that.
In a previous life form, we were all IT consultants. Yeah. And then when my son was born, I started blogging, and it was basically 2007 was the birth of the mummy blogger, but I wasn't a mummy blogger. I blogged about personal development and life and stuff like that. And I actually realised I loved writing. And this is coming from someone who constantly throughout school, English teachers were, all my reports said, Claire has no imagination, she can't write stories. But writing about something that I was interested in, I found I really loved.
Yes.
And I said to my mum and dad, God, if someone could pay me to write, that would be like brilliant.
Yeah.
So I did a journalism course, and I got some commercial experience. I worked for a media agency up in an automotive company for a couple of years, and so I gained the commercial experience, and then contracts dried up, and I thought, yeah, I could do this. So I set up my own company.
You seem to have a passion for
writing.
I
love it.
You need that passion to be able to write about something, would you say?
Yeah, I'm quite happy to write about anything.
Yeah.
So if a client comes to me and says, I need a blog about this or I need an article about that, I'll go off and research, because if it's something I don't know, then I'm learning as well. But if it's something that I'm interested in, I just find the words will just flow, and I can, write 1,000, 2,000 words.
Golly.
Without thinking about it.
Going back into your early years, what's the earliest memory you have of doing something that was creative?
Well, you see, I'm a trained dancer. So my mum sent me to ballet class when I was 2.5.
Wow.
So from the age of 2.5, I was dancing. Then when I started school, I started doing drama, but it was dance. Throughout my childhood, I literally danced every night of the week and at the weekends. And then when I wasn't dancing at the weekends, my mum and dad were driving me here, there and everywhere to dancing competitions. So
a dancer first, and then you got into drama and acting. What sort of things have you done as an actor?
I've done everything from Shakespeare and Shaw to musicals.
Wow. And are you still involved in performing?
I haven't done the last thing I was in the Full Monty, not taking my clothes off, 3 years ago, but I've been a bit busy since then. So, and obviously at the moment there's nothing around.
This season of Jelly Trumpet is about being your own medicine. So I'm a great believer in telling people that only they know how to be creative, and that they should record the details of what works and doesn't work for them. So in essence, you're keeping a journal of your creative life, and that journal becomes like a self-coaching manual. Does that have any space in your life? Do you think that would work for creative people?
I think it would work for everybody. I actually wrote, funnily enough, an article for a client on creativity and how to be creative. And one of the interesting facts I found out while I was researching my article, there was this study done. This psychologist studied, I think it was 1,600 children, and at the age of 5, 98% of them were effectively creative geniuses.
Right.
When he measured them again at 10, there were about 30 odd that were still creative. By the time they were 15, only 5% were creative.
Wow.
And he repeated the study with the same number of adults, and only 2% of adults were creative, thought they were creative. And basically what it showed was that we are all born creative. We've all got that imagination. We've all got that imagination to create whatever world we want to create. But over the years, whether it's at school or external life, that creativity is squashed out of you. It's like my English teachers at school. You can't write, you can't draw, you can't dance, you can't sing. But the upshot is, if that creativity can be squashed out, that means it can be unlearned, which means if you flip it over, means you can relearn to be creative.
I think that's a staggering statistic, and I believe it. Who is the most creative person you know?
What, aside from your good self?
Thank you. Besides me, it can be someone you actually, a person you know as a friend or family, or it could be someone in the arts or something else.
Oh, God, that's a really difficult question.
Yeah.
My sister is very creative. She was always the arty one, as in she can draw, and she's amazing. And my mum was very arty as well. She would draw and she would sew, when it comes to art and sewing and stuff like that, I have the desire, but not the patience or the talent.
You're creative in a different way as a performer.
Yeah, and there's lots of different ways to be creative. In the writing field, I mean, I literally over the summer, I was introduced to probably the best copywriting genius ever, a guy called Gary Halbert. And I read his book, it was called The Boron Letters. And I don't know how, but he ended up in prison. And these boron letters are the letters he wrote to his son from prison. And they span, I think there's about 30 letters in this book.
Yeah.
And it's all about teaching him how to write a direct marketing letter. And it was brilliant.
What's his name, Gary?
Gary Halbert, Halbert.
Oh, well, someone for me to look up. I like the idea of that. What's the best thing someone has said to you that kept you going when it was a struggle?
I think the wall of deafening silence.
Deafening silence.
The deafening silence and my internal, well, excuse my French, but
Right.
I'm going to do it and I can do it.
Right.
So
So it's your own voice when you're struggling that makes you, you're a bit stubborn like me, I think.
Very stubborn.
I'm not going to give in to that. That's
No.
interesting. I think a lot of creative people are just plainly stubborn. What's the proudest you've ever been of one of your ideas? Is there one? Is there many?
Yeah, I've got a couple actually.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a loose end a few years ago now.
Yeah.
Before I did the journalism, I was, wondering what can I do, and thought, well, I act, and I've got a degree in maths, and what if I put the two together?
Mm-hmm.
So I actually created a preschool maths program teaching children not how to add or how to do this, but the basics of maths through drama.
How fantastic. And how far did that idea go?
Well, I launched it. I did it for a couple of years.
Really?
And I got into nurseries and preschools. And there was a lot of running about, there was a lot of jumping about, a lot of falling on the floor.
Uh-huh.
But at the end of the day, they were learning, it was the language of maths they were learning. So over and under and counting up to 10 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
And bearing in mind that, they're 3 and 4 year olds. So they didn't realize what language they were learning.
Right.
But yeah.
What a fantastic idea. I mean, quite rightly, you should be proud of that one. So let's say you're marooned on a desert island. Which 3 things wouldn't you want?
Ooh, wouldn't I want?
Mm.
Do you know what? I definitely wouldn't want access to any news outlets at all because they're so depressing.
Yes, I agree with that one. Anything else strike you that you'd like to avoid while on your island?
This is a bit like Room 101. What do I want to get rid of?
Yeah, it is. It is similar to that, yeah.
I would not want any olives anywhere near me.
Have you really got such a vitriolic stand against olives?
I can't stand them.
Can't stand olives.
I really cannot stand them. And I know if there's been olives in anything that I'm given, if I've been to a restaurant, I'm like, that's had olives in, please take it away.
That's more than a slight dislike, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay, so no TV news and no olives. What's your next project? I mean, I know you're working on this mental health app or service. Have you got anything else that you're looking forward to?
Yes, I am currently creating or finalising what I'm going to do on my motorsport blog for next year.
Ah.
So that's always fun.
So, and is the motorsports all motorsports, or is it just F1?
It's mainly F1, but I do dabble in the other motorsports as well.
You dabble.
I dabble.
in the other motorsports.
Dabble in other motorsports.
But your heart's in F1, is it?
Love it. Yeah.
If a 10-year-old asked you, what one thing would make me more creative, what would you reply?
Keep playing.
Playing in any form?
Playing in any form. Imaginative play, creative play, because as Einstein says, creativity is intelligence having fun.
Oh, yes. That's a great line. That's a really great line. Thank you for reminding us of that one. Now, thank you very much for your time. I would like now just to know how a listener to the podcast could get in touch with you.
Well, they can visit my website, which is www.kookcontent.co.uk, or where they'll find all my information. So telephone number, email address.
Would you like to spell kook for them?
Kook, K-O-O-K.
That's it. That's lovely. It has been fascinating and lovely, and I've learnt lots. So thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you very much.
I was wondering what you're currently working on, Jim.
Well, it's hard work, you know.
Tell Nigel about it.
I'm working on expanding the stories in my book, Story Wars.
Available from all good Amazon websites?
Thank you for the plug, Mr. B.
No, thank you, Mr. Jim, for the plug.
Oh, your band, We Paint Houses, available from all good music services?
That's the one. So, what are you expanding?
Well, I wrote the book to encourage storytelling and...
To make money?
That's right. One more sale and I can buy a pretty decent bottle of wine.
Go on.
So I wrote these 3 young adults telling stories. And each of their stories has the scope to become a full-blown story world.
A story world?
Yes, a shared universe that can be told across multiple media. A transmedia approach to storytelling.
Which are you going to expand?
Not sure. Kevin the Talking Cat, the time-travelling hotel, or my favourite, the 19th century pirates that live in the present day.
You ever thought about taking up fishing?
No.
You should. You really should, Jim.
Challenge Jim!
Up for a challenge, are you, Mr. Jim?
Oh, yeah, always, Mr. B.
Okay, well then close your eyes
Okay, eyes closed.
and tell us what you can hear. You have 1 full minute, starting now.
What can I hear? We're in a soundproof box with headphones on. What am I going to hear? And I haven't had a coffee for an hour. There's no one here. Hello? Hello? It's like being in a cathedral and everyone's gone home. Hello? I don't actually hear anything. Can't even hear my heartbeat because I've got headphones on. So how's this exercise going to work, eh? Mr. B, did you write? No, I wrote that, didn't I? Okay. Hello? Hello, can anyone hear me? Tell you what I can hear. That's the sound of tumbleweed. It's like the end of a western. In my head, all I can hear is the end of the good, the bad, and the Jim.
Hot topic!
So years ago, and I mean in another world entirely, I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Oh, and I did it, but it wasn't for me, blah, 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 blah. But I did go to a workshop for budding comedians. And one of the exercises was to be given the start of a sentence, and then we'd come back the next week with a routine starting with that part sentence. The teacher, I use that word so loosely his trousers were constantly falling down, gave us, I woke up this morning and the first thought that came into my head was, I woke up this morning and decided to rid the world of evil. Well, we all have our little quirks. And then I went on, I woke up this morning and decided to rid the world of evil. My method, super glue. And the routine went on with me on an open-topped bus driving down the Mall, pointing at people I'd super glued to mirrors. Now, where have I heard that before?
Page 8.
I did the routine live a few times and it went okay. But the other part of reincorporation is reusing stuff. How can you rework stuff you've already done for a new purpose? Who's that?
It is I,
You being?
Carl Zeiss.
And you are?
A cliché, a well-established cliché.
I see. And where are you calling from?
1968.
How about coming to join us here in the present day?
9 tanker.
Why is that?
Because I would be out of place.
He's right, you know.
No place for that kind of chap here.
List of the week!
Und now?
Stop it, Jim. This isn't 1968. Oh, see what we've done there?
Reincorporation! So it's my list of the week time. This week it's an alternating film list. Best dialogue movies alternating with best movies for visuals. So in no particular order we have His Girl Friday, sharp dialogue, strong male and female leads. The Searchers, opening and closing shots, perfection. Casablanca, round up the usual suspects. Lawrence of Arabia, a match cut with a match, sheer class and shimmering. Juno, smug but strong zippy wording. Master and Commander, that's what a storm really looks like. Reservoir Dogs, try substituting the F word with Labrador, hours of fun. The Duelists, an oil painting come to life. Ridley Scott, actually trained at the Royal College of Art. Glengarry Glenroche, see what I did there? The Fall, 2006, odd and beautiful to watch. Bonus movie that has both. Armageddon, I know. A bit like a pantomime in a glass, isn't it? A bit like a bottle of port at Christmas. Take a sip and then you finish the bottle, don't you, eh? In your line of work, can you make an alternating list of factors you love?
Further thinking spot.
Today is a web search. So if you search transmedia storytelling, write up what you find. Keep to a set amount of time. What or how can you use this rather obscure idea in your work? Join us in further episodes and be more creative. Pick up tips and tricks you can put into play instantly. Try exercises to boost your imagination. Listen to creative guests and a whole lot of what we call fun. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or ideas for Jelly Trumpet, email us jelly@jellytrumpet.com.
That was Jelly Trumpet, making you more creative with Jim Kinlock and Mr. B. Sponsored by Conversion Detectives, the really creative digital marketing agency. Search Conversion Detectives.
Now here's Mr. B playing us 1 Minute by We Paint Houses, a melodic rock band. Find them on Facetube and on Bandcamp.
Say goodbye, baby, I won't cry. Just 1 minute to try, baby, I won't cry. Give me 1 hour to breathe. Give me 1 hour is all that I need. Baby, it's all I need. 1 hour to breathe, baby, it's all I need. Baby, there's nothing left. You live in life without a care. Just open your heart to me. You just don't understand reality.
Broken cup, yesterday's newspaper, cigarette butts, empty plastic bottle, some dust, a cork, a well-used sponge, potato peeling.
What are you doing, Jim?
I know, I'm talking rubbish.
We'll try something else.
A tartan blanket, a map app, thermos flask, cucumber sandwiches, a small rucksack, a kissing gate, a haystack, some horses in a field, a country pub.
Stop it!
Sorry, I was rambling.